I don't know, Pop. All I know is I just can't seem to squeeze a paycheck the same way I used to. There are more homeless people on the street, and there are times when I'm afraid to let my wife walk out my front door.
No one suspected this rock scene was actually real.
Last month.
How could you not vote? This is a very important election.
What started as harmless family comedy secretly became the most dangerous show on television. The show's fictional scene was actually an unfiltered truth about American inequality.
There's a plan in every state for the 17-year-old who hasn't even been born yet. The prison is being planned. You know, and the person hasn't been born yet.
When Fox executives realized their sitcom had become a weekly platform for black political consciousness, they panicked. But to understand how rock became so threatening to the network, you first need to know the extraordinary story of the man who created it. So let's get into it. Charles Stanley Dutton's transformation from convicted killer to respected actor reads like fiction, but the brutal reality of his journey shaped everything that would come after. Born in Baltimore in 1951, Dutton's early life followed a tragically predictable pattern: poverty, violence, and a justice system designed to warehouse rather than rehabilitate.
There's a kid in the Coleman Correctional Federal System outside of Orlando, the largest federal prison in the state, in the country, federal prison. I kept staring at this kid.
The prison system Dutton encountered was already evolving into the mass incarceration machine we know today. But in the 1970s, rehabilitation programs still existed. It was during 3 days in solitary confinement that Dutton discovered an anthology of black playwrights, a discovery that would literally save his life. He revealed, "When I got out of isolation the last time I knew what I wanted to do while I was in prison, I got together 10-11 guys, and we started this little drama group, and I directed The Day of Absence not knowing a damn thing about directing, and I played the lead." This wasn't just a hobby or prison pastime. Dutton was discovering his voice in the most unlikely place. Behind bars, surrounded by men the system had written off as irredeemable. The warden agreed to let him continue the drama group on one condition: Dutton had to get his GED and pursue college courses. By 1976, when Dutton was released after serving 7.5 years, he had earned his GED and completed a 2-year associate degree. But more importantly, he had found his calling. While other ex-convicts struggled to find work-stocking shelves, Dutton enrolled at Towson State University and began pursuing a bachelor's degree. The transformation accelerated when he was accepted to Yale School of Drama in 1980. At Yale, Dutton met playwright August Wilson, who would become his mentor and collaborator. Wilson saw in Dutton something Hollywood rarely recognized: an authentic voice that could bring working-class black experiences to life without caricature or compromise. Dutton's Broadway debut came in 1984 with Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The New York Times review was prophetic. "There's no small feat that Mr. Dutton's levy matches her blow for blow only a year out of Yale's drama school. This young actor brings the audience to a deathly silence in a bitter, corrosive speech that ignites the play's climax." His Tony nomination for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was followed by another for The Piano Lesson in 1990. By the early 1990s, Dutton was established as one of America's most respected stage actors. Hollywood executives took notice, but they saw something different than what theater critics celebrated. Where Broadway saw artistic integrity and powerful authenticity, television executives saw potential for ratings and demographic appeal. The difference between these two perspectives would define everything that followed. When HBO Independent Productions approached Dutton about starring in his own sitcom, they pitched it as a black version of The Honeymooners. Dutton agreed, but with conditions that revealed his understanding of how the industry operated. He insisted on selecting his own cast, drawing from his piano lesson collaborators Carl Gordon and Rocky Carroll. He demanded creative input over storylines and refused to include children, telling the Baltimore Sun, "Cosby had 55,000 of them, and I didn't want an Urkel situation." Most importantly, Dutton and creator Stan Daniels traveled to Baltimore to research real sanitation workers. They were particularly impressed by John Wood, who became the inspiration for the character of Rock Emerson. This commitment to authenticity would become both the show's greatest strength and the source of its ultimate destruction. When Rock premiered on August 25, 1991, in Fox's 8:30 p.m. Sunday slot, it appeared to be another family sitcom. Charles Rock Emerson was a Baltimore garbage collector living with his wife, Eleanor, a nurse, his retired father, Andrew, and his freeloading brother, Joey. The setup seemed safe, familiar, and marketable to advertisers. But Dutton had embedded something dangerous in this conventional framework: authenticity. Unlike other black sitcoms that existed in a sanitized middle-class bubble, Rock was set in a working-class Baltimore neighborhood where real issues couldn't be ignored or laughed away.
Oh, I see what's happening here, Rock. You think that I can't fix this because I'm a woman.
No, that's not true.
The show's early episodes dealt with subjects that made network executives nervous: gang violence, drug addiction, unemployment, and systemic racism weren't just background elements. They were central to the characters' lives. When Rock dealt with these issues, he did so with intelligence and dignity, refusing to serve as comic relief for white audiences. Season 2 brought an unprecedented experiment that revealed both the cast's theatrical credentials and the network's growing anxiety. The entire second season was performed live, a decision that showcased the stage-trained ensemble but also eliminated the network's ability to edit out controversial content or uncomfortable moments.
I used to. There are more homeless people on the street, and there are times when I'm afraid to let my wife walk out my front door, and I don't know if any of these candidates have the solutions.
This wasn't comedy. This was social commentary delivered through a character who represented millions of working-class Americans whose voices were absent from primetime television. Rock's analysis of the 1992 presidential election, where he struggled to choose between candidates who all seemed hostile to black interests, was precisely the kind of political content that made advertisers uncomfortable. Fox executives began pressuring Dutton to lighten the tone. They wanted more traditional sitcom situations and less political content. The network's discomfort intensified when Martin Lawrence's Martin premiered in August 1992, providing exactly the kind of broad comedy that Fox preferred from black performers. Martin was safe. Lawrence played an exaggerated character whose antics provided laughs without challenging viewers' assumptions about race, class, or social issues. The show's success gave Fox executives a template for what they wanted Rock to become: pure entertainment that happened to feature black actors rather than authentic stories about black experiences. But Dutton refused to compromise. He told the Baltimore Sun that networks loved to reward black actors who played buffoons while silencing voices that tried to inject social conscience into sitcoms about African American life. This wasn't just artistic integrity. It was a direct challenge to the industry's systematic preference for stereotype over substance. The tension escalated throughout Season 2 as Dutton increasingly clashed with the show's mostly white writing staff. He accused them of being insensitive to black experiences and began rewriting episodes that dealt with racial issues. The writers complained that Dutton was difficult to work with, using the same language that would later be applied to other black performers who demanded creative control. Season 3 brought changes that reflected the ongoing power struggle. The show moved from Sunday to Tuesday nights, eliminating the live audience format that had made the program unique. Dutton was named executive producer, giving him more control but also more responsibility for the show's increasingly controversial content. The move to Tuesday nights was presented as an opportunity for growth, but industry insiders understood it differently. Sunday night programming carried more prestige and attracted larger audiences. The Tuesday slot was where shows went to die slowly, away from the spotlight that might draw attention to their cancellation. By season 3, Rock had evolved from a family sitcom into something unprecedented on network television, a weekly platform for working-class Black political consciousness. This transformation terrified Fox executives who preferred their diversity packaged in ways that didn't challenge existing power structures or make white viewers uncomfortable. The show's political evolution wasn't accidental. Dutton had spent years in prison studying Black liberation theology and radical politics. His character wasn't just a garbage collector. He was an intellectual trapped in a job that society deemed unworthy of respect. This perspective allowed Rock to address issues that other shows avoided entirely.
But simply not to vote because you gotta...
Wait, hold it, Rock. Now, are you saying that you didn't vote?
Episodes dealing with electoral politics presented Black characters as thoughtful analysts rather than passive victims or comic stereotypes. When Rock discussed the 1992 presidential election, he articulated the political alienation felt by millions of Black voters who saw little difference between candidates who all seemed hostile to their interests. This level of political sophistication violated television's unwritten rules about how Black characters should behave. They could be funny, they could be threatening, they could even be heroic, but they weren't supposed to be politically analytical in ways that implicated white power structures. The show's treatment of police brutality, drug policy, and economic inequality became increasingly direct. Rather than presenting these as isolated problems affecting individual families, Rock connected them to broader patterns of systematic oppression. This analysis was dangerous because it suggested that America's racial problems weren't accidents or exceptions, but fundamental features of how the system operated. Fox executives responded by demanding more traditional comedy elements. They wanted Rock to be less angry, less political, less challenging to white audiences who might change the channel if made uncomfortable. The network's notes consistently pushed toward making the show lighter and more fun, code words for eliminating the political content that made Rock unique. Dutton's refusal to comply intensified the behind-the-scenes warfare. He told the Orlando Sentinel that Fox started losing interest after he began rewriting episodes involving race. The show's mostly white writers disagreed with his changes, and Dutton called them insensitive to Black experiences, a conflict that revealed the fundamental incompatibility between authentic Black storytelling and network television's commercial demands. The breaking point came with the season 3 finale, Terrence Got His Gun, which aired in May 1994. The episode was a follow-up to a critically acclaimed January episode that dealt directly with gun violence in Black communities. Rather than treating violence as inevitable or entertaining, the show presented it as a tragic consequence of systematic neglect and failed policies. The finale ended with Dutton breaking the fourth wall to address young African-American viewers directly. Looking into the camera, he declared, "Our own kids are doing what 300 years of slavery couldn't do, what the Ku Klux Klan couldn't do. They're threatening our spirit, breaking our hearts, and destroying us from within." This moment represented everything that terrified network executives about Rock. Dutton had used their platform to deliver a political message that connected contemporary problems to historical oppression. He had transformed a sitcom into a tool for Black consciousness raising, exactly the kind of content that advertisers and network executives feared most. The cancellation of Rock wasn't an isolated business decision. It was part of a broader pattern of eliminating Black shows that refused to stay within acceptable boundaries. Fox's 1994 purge included Rock, South Central, In Living Color, and The Sinbad Show, effectively removing most authentic Black voices from the network's lineup. The network's official explanation cited low ratings, claiming Rock ranked 117th among 124 shows. But these numbers obscured the real story. The show maintained consistent ratings among Black viewers, and its critical acclaim had earned Emmy nominations and NAACP Image Awards. The problem wasn't audience indifference, it was advertiser discomfort with the show's political content. Charles accused the network of washing its hands of rock long before the cancellation. He told the Orlando Sentinel the network never promoted the show the same way they promoted Melrose Place and Married with Children. Dutton's accusation revealed the systematic nature of the show's destruction. While Fox aggressively promoted white-centered shows like Melrose Place and Married with Children, rock received minimal marketing support. The network had created a self-fulfilling prophecy, denying the show promotional resources and then claiming its ratings proved there was no audience for such content. The response to the cancellation was immediate and unprecedented. 29 members of the Congressional Black Caucus petitioned Fox to save the series, recognizing that rock represented something irreplaceable on television. Petitions circulated nationwide demanding the show's renewal, but Fox remained unmoved. The network's refusal to engage with these efforts revealed their true priorities. Rock had become a liability, not because it lacked an audience, but because it attracted the wrong kind of attention. The show had become a focal point for discussions about media representation and systemic racism, exactly the conversations that networks preferred to avoid. Behind the scenes, industry insiders understood what was happening. Rock's cancellation sent a clear message to other Black performers and creators: stay within prescribed boundaries, or face elimination. The show's destruction served as a warning that artistic integrity and political consciousness were incompatible with network television success. The most revealing evidence of Fox's true motivations came 5 months after the cancellation, when BET aired a never-before-seen rock episode titled "The Rock That Dreams Are Made Of." The episode featured Dutton delivering a 6-minute monologue in a spotlight on a darkened stage, addressing the characters and the show's tragic end. Sources familiar with the production reported that Dutton's performance was worthy of a Tony Award, but Fox had refused to air the episode. Network officials declined to comment publicly, but an insider revealed that Fox considered the content too downbeat and the subject matter a little touchy for advertisers. This episode represented everything Fox wanted to suppress about rock: intelligent, uncompromising, and politically challenging content that prioritized artistic integrity over commercial appeal. By refusing to air it, the network demonstrated that they preferred to bury the show entirely rather than allow it to conclude on its own terms. The systematic nature of the destruction extended beyond simple cancellation. Fox ensured that rock would have minimal afterlife in syndication, limiting its potential influence on future programming. While other canceled shows found new audiences through reruns, rock was effectively erased from television history until BET began airing episodes years later. This erasure wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate attempt to eliminate evidence that authentic Black political consciousness could succeed on network television. By making rock disappear, Fox protected the narrative that such programming was commercially unviable, while simultaneously ensuring that future creators wouldn't have a successful model to follow. The destruction of rock had consequences that extended far beyond Charles S. Dutton's career. The show's cancellation established a template for how the entertainment industry would handle Black content that refused to conform to acceptable stereotypes. Systematic undermining followed by erasure and the rewriting of history to suggest such programming was never viable.
There's a plan in every state for the 17-year-old who hasn't even been born yet. The prison is being planned. You know, and the person hasn't been born yet.
Dutton's analysis of the prison industrial complex proved prophetic about the entertainment industry as well. Just as prisons were planned for Black children not yet born, Hollywood's response to rock established patterns that would determine which black stories could be told for decades to come. The show's cancellation coincided with Dutton's personal devastation. In 1994, he filed for divorce from actress Debbie Morgan, telling her, "I never could have made you happy because I'm not worth it to be anybody's husband." The professional destruction had infected his personal life, creating a sense of worthlessness that contradicted his artistic achievements. But Dutton's career continued, proving that talent and integrity could survive industry blacklisting. He directed HBO's The Corner in 2000, winning an Emmy for outstanding directing. The miniseries examined the same Baltimore communities that Rock had portrayed. But on HBO, such content was considered prestige television rather than problematic programming. This distinction revealed the hypocrisy of network television's diversity claims. The same stories that were too political for Fox were celebrated as groundbreaking television when presented on premium cable. The difference wasn't content, it was audience and advertising model. The Corner's success led directly to The Wire, which David Simon created after seeing Dutton's work. The Wire became one of television's most acclaimed series, addressing exactly the social issues that had made rock controversial. But by existing on HBO, these stories reached smaller, more elite audiences who could appreciate their complexity without threatening mainstream advertising revenue. The cast of Rock scattered after the cancellation, with several members dying in subsequent years. Carl Gordon, who played Rock's father, died in 2010. Heavy D, who played Calvin Hendricks, died in 2011. Rosalind Cash, who played Eleanor's mother, had died in 1995, just a year after the show's cancellation. These deaths represented more than personal tragedies. They symbolized the erasure of an entire generation of black performers who had briefly achieved authentic representation on network television. Their passing removed witnesses to what had been possible when black artists controlled their own narratives. The real inspiration for Rock's character, Baltimore sanitation worker John Wood, met a tragic end in 2013. At age 80, Wood was punched during a street altercation, fell, and hit his head on concrete, dying from his injuries. The man whose dignity and intelligence had inspired a groundbreaking television character became a victim of the same violence the show had worked to address. Wood's death completed the circle of tragedy surrounding Rock. The show had been created to honor working-class black men like him, presenting their lives as worthy of respect and their perspectives as valuable contributions to American discourse. His violent death symbolized society's continued failure to protect and value the people Rock had tried to celebrate. Looking back, Dutton acknowledged his role in the show's destruction while refusing to apologize for its content. He told the Washington Post that he was sometimes impatient and arrogant with Fox executives and behaved irresponsibly in his communications with them, but he expressed no regrets about the vision he fought to protect. In 73 or 74 episodes of Rock, I don't think there was a moment of buffoonery, Dutton declared. Amid the broad comedy, I look at the reruns now on BET, and I'm still pretty proud. This pride represented something more valuable than commercial success: the knowledge that he had refused to compromise his integrity for industry acceptance. The systematic destruction of Rock established patterns that continue today. Black creators who prioritize authenticity over palatability still face the same challenges Dutton encountered: demands to lighten their content, reduce political commentary, and focus on entertainment rather than truth-telling. But Rock's brief existence proved that such programming could succeed when creators maintained control over their narratives. The show's legacy lives not in its cancellation, but in its demonstration that working-class black consciousness could find expression on mainstream television when artists refused to accept artificial limitations. Charles S. Dutton transformed himself from convicted killer to Yale-trained actor to television creator, proving that redemption was possible even in a system designed to prevent it. The industry's destruction of rock revealed their fear of such transformations and their commitment to maintaining artificial boundaries around Black expression. The real tragedy isn't that rock was canceled, it's that its cancellation succeeded in discouraging similar programming for decades. The systematic silencing of authentic Black voices became so complete that contemporary audiences don't even know what they're missing. But for 72 episodes, Charles "Rock" Emerson existed as a fully realized, working-class Black intellectual, analyzing American society with dignity, intelligence, and uncompromising honesty. That character represented everything the entertainment industry feared about authentic Black representation, and everything audiences deserved but were denied. The destruction of rock wasn't just the cancellation of a television show. It was the systematic elimination of a vision of Black humanity that threatened existing power structures. And the methods used to destroy it became the blueprint for maintaining those structures for generations to come. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.